important dates on the Christian calendar. And from a cultural standpoint, this holiday weekend is one of the most iconic for Bermudians. Good Friday is steeped in tradition for us, with kite flying, hot cross buns, and fish cakes. Typically, this is a time when we gather with our friends and our families to celebrate our rich and unique heritage. But this year, once again, we won't be able to gather in the normal ways that we are used to. Instead, we must do it against the backdrop of a dangerous and fast spreading pandemic. This holiday weekend, whilst we must be mindful of adhering to the safety and health guidelines that are currently in place, it's heartening to know that we will be able to engage in some of the traditional Good Friday and Easter activities, albeit in a limited capacity. But any gatherings must be done responsibly. They must be physical distanced without the mixing of households and in small family and or friend bubbles. So the aim of today's briefing is to once again remind the public about the COVID-19 regulations that are in place and to share any relevant information regarding the police's enforcement efforts this weekend. Additionally, since our last update, the Ministry of National Security, the Ministry of Health, and the Bermuda Police Service and the Department of Public Prosecutions have made significant steps to bring those who violate the Public Health Act before the courts. We've also made some progress in terms of strengthening the enforcement powers and legislation with regard to fixed penalties, which the Assistant Commissioner of Police will speak to momentarily. But in order to ensure that everyone is engaging in responsible behavior, I will set out a few timely reminders for the public as we continue to navigate this serious pandemic. First and foremost, we remain under curfew from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Remote working is mandatory where and when possible. An 8 p.m. curfew for recreational boating remains in effect. Indoor dining is prohibited except for hotels, which are limited to hotel guests only. Large groups are set at a maximum of 10 per gathering. This includes inside private homes. An exception to this is for outside religious ceremonies where a maximum of 20 people can gather. I repeat, this is for outside services only. We have received numerous requests about large groups. Here is what I can advise. Currently, applications for large group exemptions can be made via the government website. To receive a timely response, 20 days advance notice should be given, unless there are exceptional circumstances such as a funeral. Bars and clubs are only permitted to have outside table service only. Table size is restricted to 6 persons. Indoor dining and drinking in restaurants is closed. Beauty salons, spas, and barbershops can be open, but all clients and staff must wear a mask that completely covers their mouth and nose at all times. Retail and grocery stores are limited to 20% of their occupancy capacity at any one time. Schools, the Bermuda College, and youth camps are closed to students. Religious establishments are closed to congregants with the following exceptions: private prayer with a maximum of 5 persons. In order to broadcast a service via electronic means where the total number of persons are restricted to 10 people. Indoor funerals and viewings are permitted with a maximum of 10 mourners, plus the officiant and funeral home staff. And the following venues are closed: bowling alleys, cinemas, concert halls, church halls, auditoriums and theaters, the indoor areas of gyms and sports clubs. Finally, as I have repeatedly said, now is not the time to become. Please exercise a degree of personal responsibility by making smart and sensible decisions to protect you, your family, your friends, and your loved ones. As a reminder, We all must continue to do what we can to mitigate and limit the spread of the virus by complying with the policies in place. Please continue to follow the health guidelines. This includes wearing a mask, hand sanitizing, and maintaining the appropriate physical distancing. And finally, if you are in attendance at any establishment or location around the island and see any breaches of the COVID-19 regulations by persons or businesses, please do not hesitate to call 211 to report the violations. I will now turn it over to Assistant Police Commissioner Weeks, who will highlight some of the steps that the Bermuda Police Service have taken and continue to take to enforce the COVID-19 regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon, everybody. The Minister has outlined all of the restrictions that are in place and remain in place from previous times. The Bermuda Police Service will be taking this very seriously this weekend. We will be involved in compliance checking around bars, restaurants, and other areas, including outside spaces, to ensure that everyone is keeping to the regulations. We, of course, understand, as the Minister quite rightly pointed out, that this is a very special public holiday for a lot of people, and there are a lot of Bermudian traditions associated with Good Friday and Easter Sunday, and we, the police, do not wish to put anybody in a court situation because they were exercising those normal things that we like to do on these holidays. But that said, we must ensure in this pandemic, and let's face it, I was in the public health emergency response team meeting just this morning, and the discussion was around just how virulent this particular strain is and how easy it is to communicate it between people. We must take this seriously, and the Bermuda Police Service will be doing our part to remind the public, to push you in the right direction, to remind you and to get you to comply with these regulations. Please, if you're getting together in a group to fly kites or go to the beach or anything else this weekend, wear your masks, stay within your family bubbles, and stay apart from other people. It cannot be stressed strongly enough how important this is in order to reduce the incidences of infection here in the island and to protect our vulnerable and elderly populations. We are not as yet able to issue fixed penalty tickets, as the Minister has said. This is well on its way to completion. It has passed the Senate now, and we hope to have this up and running very quickly once it is passed into law. The Bermuda Police Service will be the initial people issuing these tickets, but we will be looking at training people from health and other areas who are enforcement officers under the Act in order to make sure that they can also issue tickets. In the meantime, we will still continue to put people before the courts, and the first group of people will be appearing before the magistrates next week, once the holiday weekend is over. We've been working hard with the Office of the DPPs to make sure that they get what they need from us, that the files are properly completed and ready to go before the courts.
Thank you, Minister and Assistant Commissioner. At this time, I will allow members of the media to ask their questions. When you begin, I'd like you to introduce yourself and the organization that you're from. Okay, starting with Tarai Trott. Tarai, you on mute?
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Tarai.
Good afternoon, Assistant Commissioner.
We're awaiting your questions eagerly.
Oh, I'm awaiting the minister. And,
I'm sorry, Tarai, good afternoon. I'm right here.
oh, good afternoon.
So Troy,
You
you
were
can
the
begin
first
asking.
persons.
Yes, I thought there was going to be a press conference or a statement for the minister.
We did that already, Tarai.
Yes, Minister, can you tell us a message to the people this weekend? People who feel that because you're saying don't mingle outside your household bubble, but can you stress that message that even if it's less than 10 people, that is discouraged?
Surely. Thanks, Tarai, for that. What we have asked persons to consider is staying within your family bubble, which could be maybe, I don't know how many, but anyhow, a large gathering number is 10 persons. So no one should be gathering at more than 10 people anyhow, but we're appealing for you to stay within your family bubbles.
Even if it's outdoors?
Yes. What I actually said, because I don't know if you actually heard the statement, but we said that any gathering should be done responsibly, and that you should still physically distance, and without mixing of households.
I may have missed it, but perhaps Assistant Commissioner Weeks or even you, Minister, could speak to the police effort in terms of manpower. I imagine police will be out trying to enforce the regulations.
I'm sorry, Tarai, I missed half your question. It cut out on me.
If you could speak to the police presence this coming weekend, I would imagine police would be out looking to enforce the regulations on land and sea.
Yes, we will be, Tarai. We will be partnering with our partners within the ministry from the Coast Guard out on the water and the Bermuda Reserve Police to run compliance and curfew checks over this weekend to do our best to keep everybody safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Any further questions, Troy?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this time, I'm going to invite Trevor Lindsay into the press conference to ask his questions.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
Trevor? Yep.
Yep. All ready?
Yes.
Okay, cheers. I'm here. All right, I'm muting.
No, you can ask your questions.
Yeah, but
The statements have already been read.
I ain't seeing nothing. So how am I supposed to ask if I don't know what I ain't even heard nothing?
You were supposed to have been watching it through the Facebook channels so that you can then ask questions.
You didn't.
All right, Trevor. The statements will be emailed momentarily, and at which point, if you have any questions, you can forward them to me, and we will provide answers. All right, I think that is it then.
Right. Mr. Brainman, can I just give closing remarks at this time to Bermuda?
Most definitely, Minister.
Surely. I just like to say to my colleagues, my friends, my family, and my fellow Bermudians, I understand we're still navigating through this pandemic. I recognize that this weekend we're not going to be able to do some of the things that we would traditionally do and be around the people that we're used to being around. But I'm going to ask you please to exercise common sense and to remember that what we're doing is for health reasons, and that we want to keep you safe. We want to keep you protected. and to please, please think about your personal responsibility as we navigate through this. Thank you. Have a great holiday. And if you can, get some rest.
All right, thank you, Minister.
Have a great Easter.
Assistant.
everybody.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day, all. Enjoy your holiday.